Sup nerds, I'm CuppaJoey and welcome back to another episode of r/maliciouscompliance where we get to see the karma we wish we could have seen in real life. Because hey, you asked for it. I'll let you know every time I use my garbage can. I've never met anyone that said, oh good, a homeowners association. We all have trash cans, but the sight of them offends the delicate eyes of some, so I complied with the new rule of no seeing bins from the street. I find a notice of my bins being out, which is surprising because I'm the only one who touches the cans and I know I'm 100% compliant. I call in and ask why I got the notice. The full description says bins in the driveway with lids off. I asked if this happened to be a Tuesday and sure enough it was. Wednesday was pickup and I was doing my weekly cleaning. I was freaking using them! I calmly explained through gritted teeth. Oh okay, I'll remove the notice. Great, but how do I prevent this from happening again? Oh, I guess notify us? Alright, I said, I'll notify you every time I'm using my trash cans. Oh, that won't be necessary. Clearly it is. That was 5 Tuesdays ago. Today, I once again called properly at 10 o'clock and let Alan know I was about to use my trash cans. You know what, Mr. Enderman? I'm just going to put a hold on any trash can notices for you. Hey, that would be swell, Alan. That would be swell. So this could be just because I'm poor, or it could just be because I'm British and not American, but I really don't understand the concept of a homeowners association. I get that the idea of it is supposed to keep the houses, nice in an area, but it just seems like it is an excuse for nosy neighbours to be really freaking judgmental about each other. This was a very mild, malicious compliance story. This is just fine, I'm gonna do what you told me to do until it annoys you enough to stop, you know? I put it more in the category of petty revenge, but you know what, I still enjoyed it nonetheless, especially when it's a kind of nosy, judgmental, calling somebody because their bins are out kind of people. It feels good to see those people get, annoyed. For a reason that they should be, like somebody being maliciously compliant, not, a bin being out on the day it's supposed to be out. Have a problem with the policy? Fine, I'll change it. I used to work as an administrator in a secondary school in the US, grades 9 to 12, around 10 years ago. We were a school that didn't have a specific zone or neighbourhood, so to speak. Some of our students lived 30 or 45 minutes from the school, which made it necessary for us to sometimes conduct business with parents or guardians over the phone as opposed to in person. One day I met with a senior, grade 12, who was in a class that he and his father had deemed too hard for him, and since they didn't want it impacting his ability to attend college, asked for him to be changed out of the class. It was early in the semester, and there was plenty of space available in other courses, so I had no problem doing it after a conversation over the phone with his father. The student was a good guy, and he was totally grateful to me for helping him out. He would now enjoy his last year a little more with one less difficult class to worry about. The next day, I get a phone call in my office from Mum, who is irate. She spends approximately 5 minutes berating me about changing his schedule. I indicated to her that Dad was on the contact list for her son, and he was allowed to make these decisions if he chose to do so. She is the person who put Dad on there several years before. Evidently, Mum put Dad on the list before their divorce. She had raised a child over the last several years by herself, according to her, and she should make all of the decisions. I didn't know this and the records didn't reflect it. Since she knew this argument wasn't going to work, the next objection was against our policy of making decisions over the phone. The conversation went something like this. Mum: how do you know for sure it was his dad on the phone? There's no way you can be sure. I can't believe you would ever make a decision like this without a parent present. By doing business over the phone, you could be speaking to anyone. She continued on. I tried to explain that it is necessary at times to use a phone, since parents work in another town and may have to travel an hour or more to get to the school. Well, she wasn't buying it. So finally, I relented. Ma'am, you are right. I will no longer make decisions like this over the phone. I am going to insist parents come in and meet with me in person. Mum: good. Now I need my son to be put back into the class he was in originally. Me: Ma'am, I'm sorry, you are going to have to come in and meet with me. I'm no longer changing schedules over the phone. How do I know that you are the student's mother? Mum: I can't do that. I live 45 minutes from the school and I work every day. Yeah, it was at this point that she dropped all of her objections. So there were a few red flags that popped up around the mother and the way that they were talking about all of this. So, first of all, she's saying that she has single-handedly raised this kid for 7 years, and therefore the father shouldn't have had any say in the kid's education. However, if that were the case, why would she not have done that immediately? Like, if she got sole custody and that was it, he was cut off, why wouldn't she have, immediately updated the school's records, especially as this is high school? High school doesn't last 7 years, right? This is great. I'm not all that familiar with education in the US. But this kid has got to be 17 at the absolute youngest while all this is going on. And if my assumptions are correct, you can't join high school when you're 10. So I don't think that if that were the case that the records would have been updated with the guys, with his stuff if he wasn't even freaking involved. Also, there was I think that the fact that the kid was happy that the schedule was being changed speaks volumes. It seems that the mother just really wanted him to do this course, which, if he's struggling with it and it's going to affect the rest of his classes because he's trying too hard on that one, it's probably not going to be for him. And if he's a lot happier changing classes and thinking, I'm going to get to college with this, then absolutely brilliant. It's great for him that he's thinking about his future, and he did seem really happy about the schedule change. The only person who wasn't happy about the schedule change was the mother, and now she's coming out with all this stuff saying, the father was never involved. Well, if that were the case, why would he be getting involved now? Why would his first involvement in his son's education be like, I'm going to help him change this one class? It just doesn't make any sense. And also just the faux outrage, the whole, why aren't you doing this, why aren't you doing that? It speaks volumes that the admin was trying to explain, people live too far away, and that's why we have to do everything over the phone, because we can't do, face-to-face meetings as much as we would like. And then her response was to go, that's not good enough, it has to be face-to-face. Oh, can you come in then? No, I live too far away. just only when it affects her. It's a proper, I don't know if anybody actually watches Curb Your Enthusiasm outside of, I don't know why I said actually was, it's a very popular program. I just mean if there's any crossover, because I absolutely adore Curb Your Enthusiasm, and it does seem like the kind of crappy rule, it only works for me and that's all I care about rule that Larry would make up for himself within that. It gives me those vibes. And if you're supposed to be like Larry David within his fictional representation of himself, that's not the best way to be. Also, if the kid wants to change schedules, then just let him change schedules. Why is it such a big deal? And it's his education, and if he's happy with that, what's the problem? Still, I do like it that they were like, fine, come in then. No. that was basically what it was. You want me to come in? You want parents to come in? Come in then. It's just, especially if she's making those demands, she was clearly just trying to find something to be angry about because of, all of this projected frustration that she's clearly given to the admin is all based on a disagreement that she has had with her ex over the raising of their child, and she's letting it all out on this poor admin, and so trying to find things to be rightfully angry about to just vent it all out there, and therefore not thinking things through, which is why it didn't really work out for her in the long run. Could I talk to someone who knows things like a man? This popped into my mind recently. I used to work at a retail tropical fish store, and weird as it is, we were very well known. We used to provide the aquarium with rare fish, and people used to drive from 2 to 3 states over if they were true fish people to come and buy from us. So for all of you D&D nerds out there, I was just picturing freaking Kurotoa from Dungeons and Dragons, just coming up these anthropomorphic fish people, yes, I've come for your okay, right, I need to stop and just continue with the story. I, at the time 17 female, was an expert in tropical fish and koi. In fact, it was my job that summer to be the koi and outdoor pond point person, and my job was not only stocking the ponds, but managing all the plants, caring for them, and knowing every bit of information and all the prices of the various koi and goldfish we had. I knew diets, temperature ranges, places of origin, special breeds, I knew it all. They would even call me with questions on my days off. That clearly did not matter to one customer though. He came inside the store and asked for some help with koi outside. I happily agreed as I was the only person not on my lunch break. Now, this guy frankly seemed put off by me offering to help, so instead of buying anything, he decided to quiz me for 20 minutes about the 20 minutes, jeez, about the koi, goldfish, and pond plants to try and get me to admit I didn't know something. I answered every single one of his stupid questions. Some were really stupid. And at the end of the 20 minutes, he had the balls to say, "Can I talk to someone who knows things like a man?" Full emphasis in tone on those words too. "Sure you can," I say with a fake smile. "Let me go get John for you." Here's the malicious compliance. John, name changed, was 75, retired, annoying as hell, and back-crap crazy. My boss didn't even want him to be hired, but he owed John a favour. Now, John is an expert in goldfish, but he hates koi and outside ponds. John also, like I said, is really annoying and crazy, but he had a soft spot for me, so we would always chat. I love people like that. I went inside to find John and explained to him that this customer wanted a man to talk to. John asked me why he wanted to speak to a man when I was the pom-pom person, and I told him he clearly just didn't like that he was speaking to a girl. John nods knowingly, gets this evil grin on his face, and goes to help the customer. 5 minutes later, I hear a man yelling in the parking lot. I run outside to find the customer screaming at John and cursing him out. "What is wrong with you? Does nobody freaking know anything around here? I will never come back. You're all horrible and know nothing about fish and you're a terrible employee." Or something to that effect. I watch a guy hop into his car, slam the door, and drive off. I asked John what happened. He said, "Oh yeah, no, every time he asked me a question I said, not sure. Good question though. I could go get Opie and ask, she's really our pond expert." And apparently he did not like that. Customer, if you read or remember this, frick you. Thanks for reading. Too long did a read. I, 17 female, am expert at fish store. Older male customer doesn't like this and asks, can I talk to someone who knows things like a man? So I get the most annoying man who works there to literally annoy him into leaving the store and vowing never to come back. The best kind of malicious compliance is freaking big at malicious compliance. This was great. I mean, okay, so the guy was absolutely a rampant misogynist. The fact that he goes, "Could I have somebody that knows things like a man?" You know, because obviously anybody who isn't a man cannot know anything at all. You know, that's why when you go up to a woman and go, "Hi, how are you?" She just goes, "Well, I don't know, how am I supposed to know anything? I've just got this womanly brain going on." But yeah, I'm sure that it was like an age thing as well, because she said that she was 17 at the time, and I mean, that's the only thing where you know, if we're playing, you know, devil's advocate, like, not only devil's advocate, but devil's freaking senior advocate, you know, top of bastardry in hell, you know, then we would be able to say maybe her age might have been to do with it, because they would have thought, well, I want somebody that knows a lot more than somebody this young. I want somebody with experience. But even so, like, apparently he quizzed her for 20 minutes, where she was able to then answer all of his ridiculous questions easily. So at that point, he would have known, okay, this person clearly knows what they're talking about, but he just didn't want to accept that because she happened to be a girl. And yeah, apparently the fact that they, you know, people would have to go from like 2 to 3 states over just to get their special fancy fish. I really hope that this was one of those guys that like drove a really long way. I mean, imagine like being sent to get some fancy koi and going home. "Honey, did you get the koi?" "Well, I'm sorry, I was going to get the koi, but I was just too damn bigoted. You know, my sexism stopped me from purchasing the koi. I'm terribly sorry, my beloved." Oh, I mean, that's the kind of patience that people at retail have. The fact that she was there. Like it says, instead of buying anything, he decided to quiz me for 20 minutes. 20 minutes! She had to deal with this guy's crap for 20 minutes and answer absolutely pointless questions that he was definitely only just doing as like some kind of a test to make sure that she knew everything. And of course, he was really hoping that she wouldn't, and the fact that she did, I need to talk to someone who knows things, even though you've proven that you know everything to do with what I'm asking. Kudos to John on this, the one that was like, "I don't know, ask her, I don't know, ask her." I really like those ones as well. And like, I love people like that. I love that one person that everyone finds frustrating, but for some reason they like you. I really like those kinds of work relationships. This overall was a pretty satisfying read. I like this, and I'm glad that the guy left mad without any freaking fish. Entitled kid gets us suspended for a week. Okay, I work on elevators and was, at this time, an apprentice working on service jobs with a mechanic. We'll call him Rick. Now, Rick was a really nice guy. We got along really well, but he had a bit of a short fuse. Thrown tools were fairly normal if he got frustrated. Jesus Christ, that's more than a bit of a short fuse, okay. Anyways, we were working on an elevator with the machinery in the basement, and some of it was only accessible from the elevator pit. We all took steps we normally would, but put signs on the walls over the buttons saying that the elevator was out of service, barricaded our work area at the bottom floor, shut the elevator down, and went to work. Now, this elevator had the buttons and doors on the same circuit as the cab lights, which is very unusual for elevators, and we hadn't turned the light switch off because, well, we wanted the lights. Entitled's mum never found out her name now comes into play. I'm working in the elevator pit and I hear the elevator doors open, and then hear the mum step in, and the loud noise of the buttons in the cab being hammered. This quickly turned into her banging, and then kicking the doors and screaming for help. This progression took less time than it would have taken for me to get a word in edgewise. I, being the nice guy I am, yelled up to her to press the door open button, but as the sign she'd have to move to press the button said the elevator was out of order. Oh, so I guess that she couldn't because it said it was out of order, okay. I never know whether something's been written awkwardly or whether it's just me not being able to frickin' read, but anyway, moving on. A few confused sounding seconds later, the doors open and the mum exits. I'm thinking, okay, no big deal, situation over. Nope. The mum storms down the stairs, pretty fast I'll admit, and starts pounding on the bottom door where we've barricaded off our area. So she's already inside a barrier that's very much there for her safety, and she's screaming at me that I had trapped her in the elevator and I need to turn it on now because her baby was on the 4th floor in her stroller and needed to come downstairs to go to an appointment. Now, Rick and I are, as I've said, pretty nice guys, and if she'd come and asked politely when the elevator would be fixed, he'd probably have sent me to go help her. Hey, I'm the apprentice, that's the breaks. But I'd happily go and give a hand. Today would be different. I stayed where I was because, frankly, she can't get to me, so she can't have her tantrum. Then Rick arrived. She saw him in his elevator company shirt and went off that I had trapped her and the elevator fell and her baby was in the hallway and she needed to come down right now, so we better get the elevator turned on right now. Now, Rick is also very smart and has been doing service for many years. He calmly tells her we can't just turn it on, we have to complete the repairs for safety reasons. The mum goes off again, losing her mind at Rick before using the classic entitled mum phrase, I want to speak to your supervisor. Rick is prepared for this. You see, Rick is technically his own supervisor and his business cards say service supervisor on them. So he hands her his own card and walks outside to the van. Of course she calls him, tells a story that almost resembles what actually happened, which is the last straw for Rick. Don't fricking lie to Rick. So he maintains his composure and tells her that our behaviour was unacceptable and that he would be suspending us for a week without pay. After a few minutes he came in, knocked on the door where I was waiting, so I opened it up. He leaned down and whispered, "Pack up and act angry." So I played along. Packed up the tools and carried them up to the van, straight past the mum still fuming in the hall. On the way out she asked Rick what was going on and when the elevator would be back on. Rick looked at her deadpan and said, well, I just got suspended for a week and I'm the only one who can do this job, so in about a week. A week later, we returned to flip the switch. I had finished while we were waiting for her tantrum to subside. Oh, wow. Oh, so all they needed to do was flip the switch on and it would have been fixed, but just because she was that petty. Wow. That's brilliant. That is good. I mean, the only thing that I don't really like about this is the fact that this could be kind of damaging for anybody else who lives there, you know. I mean, it's only this one, you know. Yeah, I mean, it said EK. Did they mean entitled Karen as opposed to entitled kid? Because I thought that this was a kid doing it. I will admit, when I first read the title of this, I thought that this was to do with a school thing, you know. I also feel like if the Karen had phoned up and just said, you know, look, I really need to get my kid down and they've not done this or whatever, and like didn't blatantly lie, then Rick would have been a little bit more reasonable about it. At least that's what I get from what OP says. But it's just so petty, the pure pettiness of, like, going outside, taking this phone call. I want to know, did he put on, like, a different voice? Was it just, like, the standard customer service, yes, everything you say is absolutely correct kind of voice? and then to just go in and be like, yep, not doing anything for another week. And the fact that all they needed to do was flip the switch, and they left for a week and then flipped the switch just to spite her for being rude. That was beautiful. That was like some Michelin star malicious compliance. Michelin's compliance. Oh, I can't do it. But I tried, and for that nobody can fault me. Well, that's it for this episode of r/malicious compliance. Do let me know which of your stories was your favourite one out of these. I personally like the fish one myself. And as I say at the end of every episode, if you would like to hear more from this subreddit or from any other subreddit, then do let me know in the comments. And until then, I'll see you all next time.